Hello, twisted humans.
Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting?
Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alecia.
And I'm Sierra, and this is
Twisted and Uncorked. Sierra laughs at all my jokes. That is real friendship. Who says that you have to laugh at your husband's jokes when you can laugh at your best friend's jokes that aren't funny?
Exactly. So on top of my Encyclopedia Horrifica book that I got at the...
It gets better every time you say the name even. Like, it's
know.
amazing.
Encyclopedia Horrifica.
Rolls off the tongue.
Amazing. And I bought it at a shop called Crystals and Curiosities.
That's even better.
Amazing. So anyway, I also got a couple other books that I wanted to mention.
Okay. All at this witchy store?
All but this first one. So I got Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, which is like old time, throwback.
Is that what
Scary
they named
Stories.
their podcast after? That would make sense.
Scary Stories We Tell?
Yeah.
I guess so, maybe. But
Maybe.
this is Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yes. No,
Classic.
I feel you.
Amazing. I got this from Thrift Books because I was like, I just need it. I saw it on there and I needed it. And then when I was at Crystals and Curiosities, I found number 2 and number 3. So now I have the whole collection.
I'm so jealous.
More Scary Stories and Scary Stories 3. So I am going to be digging through these, probably find some urban legend type things to come out of that.
I already told Sierra that I'm going to be reading in her closet when I come and visit. So, there's
And then
that.
I also got this book, which is called How to Become a Witch.
Oh my god, it's amazing.
And it's The Path of Nature, Spirit, and Magic.
So today's episode is canceled, guys, and we're just going to be reading this now.
Yeah, we're just figuring shit out over here. I'm excited.
That's incredible. Where did you get that? Like Thrift Books too?
That one, I saw it at Crystals and Curiosities, but the one that they had was a new one, so I went on to Thrift Books to see if they had a used version, and they did, so I got it from Thrift Books.
Gotcha. Nice.
Actually,
reuse, recycle, guys.
maybe I got that one from Amazon. Either way, it's an old library copy that was discarded, so it is a reused book, yeah.
Yeah, guys, no one needs a brand new book every time.
Yeah.
Get those recycled ones. Save the trees.
Yeah, it probably has, like, let's see. It doesn't even have any highlighted marks in it. It's perfect. The only issue is, like, the edges are, like...
Bending, but that's whatever.
Yeah.
That means it was loved.
Who cares? The insides are perfect. That's what
matters.
matters. That's
like
where the
a
goods are.
textbook. Jesus.
I know. It really is. Like, I'm pretty sure it has a glossary. Like, it's a whole fucking... It does.
I'm writing this down. Guys, we like
You have
books,
a fun fact
in
to
case
add
you
to your
didn't know.
books?
I do. And it's about animals. My next favorite thing. Because reindeer are better than people. Mm-hmm. So, painted turtles survive the winter by breathing through their butts.
Oh?
So,
Why?
painted turtles need to adapt to frozen ponds in colder seasons, which restricts their access to air above the water. In the wintertime, painted turtles do something called brumation, which is even better, which may be a period of dormancy, almost like hibernation with bears. During brumation, these turtles use their butts for breathing, and this process is called cloacal respiration.
Where does the air come from in their butts?
I don't know. I think it's just like an energy conservation situation because they're sleeping, kind of like bears, under the water because it's too cold for them and they can't get to the surface. So there's butt breathing happening. And I felt like I needed to share that with you.
I'm glad you did because I'm definitely sharing that with my children. They're going to freak out.
I'll send you a screenshot of it.
It's going to be great. Very strange, but it's going to be great. My fun fact today is that in Japan, items that reach their 100th birthday are said to transform into tsukumagami.
Okay.
And this is a ghost-like being. This word, tsukumagami, means artifact spirit. So basically they believe that they just grow limbs and facial features and become, like, evil. Like little items that have spirits attached to them.
That's incredible.
So, like,
but also very scary. Like, how do you know?
Keep items for 100 years?
How do you know? Like, my old boss used to collect, like, old artifacts and, like, cool shit, and he would get them at, like estate auctions, and he was telling me about, like, these, like, really cool books that he got, and, like, a really old chair, and, like, all sorts of stuff when I was working there, and I'm like, are they haunted? Because, like, I feel like they might be.
Possibly. This fun fact leads directly into this week's episode because I'm telling you a haunted story. But first, we have to discuss the sangria. Yeah, so most of the recipes I find online, and then I, like, tweak them to what I have at my house / what I want to buy. This one literally is just me.
And then she just tells me what to buy.
Sort of. I sort of made it up because I have been having... Okay, if you have Starbucks, if you've ever been to Starbucks, you know the pink drink. The pink drink was, like, the first well-known secret menu item. You used to be able to get, like, I don't remember what it was, like a strawberry refresher, and then one time somebody was like, oh my gosh, get the strawberry refresher with coconut milk, it's so much better, and it's known as the pink drink. You used to have to actually go to Starbucks and say, I need the strawberry refresher with coconut milk. Now you can just say pink drink and they know what it is because it got that popular.
And from somebody that's never had it before and has tried it with the sangria, she good.
Yeah, so the pink drink recipe that I found on, like, Pinterest or TikTok or some shit is 1/3 part coconut milk and 2/3 part white cranberry strawberry juice. It's called white cranberry strawberry.
Fact, that doesn't exist in Canada, so I had to just get regular cranberry strawberry, but it still tastes really good.
Well, it's really hard to find here, too. So it might exist, but it is extremely hard to find. Even in America. My sister has had a terrible time finding it. My mother-in-law cannot find it anywhere.
Do you think it's really hard to find there because it's so popular?
Possibly, but also, like, I feel like it wasn't popular until this. So, like, I don't know how it came about. Anyway, that recipe, and just add rosé. And, like, fresh strawberries. It's fucking delicious.
It's phenomenal. I muddled my strawberries a little, so, you know, # muddle your produce.
Mm-hmm. And if you don't want to drink alcohol / wine, just go make
yourself a pink drink and add some fresh strawberries. Make it fancy.
That's what we're doing. So, like I said, I am doing a haunted story today. But before we start, I have a really important question that I have to ask you. Because I've been wondering about this and I didn't know, so now I need to know.
Okay, I'm nervous.
Do aliens fall under haunted or conspiracy?
Ooh, I think they could fall... I think depending on the circumstances, it could fall under either.
Yeah, because a lot of people say that alien sightings are a quote-unquote paranormal experience, but also they're more supernatural than just haunted. Mm-hmm. But also most of them aren't beliefs, so they're definitely conspiracies. Yeah.
I think they could fall under any of the above, and some alien interactions that I've read about have more paranormal characteristics than traditional alien sightings, where, like, they're not seen and it is like a meditate to communicate situation, so who knows?
Right. Yeah, I did not do an alien story. I was just super curious. Yes, I did do an old-fashioned normal spooky ghost haunting for this episode, so we're good.
I was going to say, use your best judgment. You know what you do.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going to tell you a story about the Old South Pittsburg Hospital.
Oh, I already don't like it.
The reason for telling you about this haunted hospital is because it is located in South Pittsburg, Tennessee, which
Are
is
you gonna take me?
only an hour and a half from Nashville, and I really want to go with you when you come.
Fuck yeah. I'm stoked. Oh, I don't know if I want to go. Can I decide
know.
after I hear this story?
No. You have to decide right now.
Okay, fuck it.
Otherwise, it'll be too scary.
I want to go. I want to go. We're going. It's happening.
Okay,
we're
done.
going.
So, South Pittsburg is right outside of Chattanooga, which, fun fact, is where me and Jesse were going to move when we first came to Tennessee. But then we came up here to Nashville and decided we liked this place better. But we almost lived, like, in South Pittsburg, which is crazy.
You would have been so close to this hospital.
So close that I don't know if I would have enjoyed it as much. A lot of the locals do not like that this hospital is in their neighborhood.
Fuck. Okay.
So, yeah, this is going to be a really creepy, haunted story. It is actually one of the most haunted locations in Tennessee, but I don't want to freak you out so much that you don't want to go, so just don't think about us going while I tell the story, okay? Okay.
Okay. You know I grew up in a haunted house, right? Like, it's fine.
Yeah, but this one's a little...
We're going to bring our protection crystals. We're going to bring our
sage.
Our sage. We're going to bring...
The issue is those things are not allowed inside. So
fucking stop me from shoving them in my bra.
Out of... Well, they're not allowed inside because they don't want it to scare away the ghost.
That's true.
Can
I put one protection crystal in my bra when we go? They don't.
I just figure we're going to put everything in my car and sage the shit out of my car before I drive home because I don't want anything following us.
We're just going to do some crazy ritual with sage outside your
in
car
the
and
car.
then go home. People are going to be like, wow,
let me tell you
those
why.
bitches are crazy.
Okay. So the Old South Pittsburg Hospital story actually begins before it was ever even a hospital. The land that it was built on has its own history that needs to be told. The ground beneath where the hospital now sits is limestone, which is in most of Tennessee. Like, there's so much fucking limestone in Tennessee.
Isn't it, like, pretty pricey, though? So, isn't that a good thing?
Well, it wears away well in water. So there's a lot of sinkholes in Tennessee. Like a shit ton of sinkholes in Tennessee.
Like fiery sinkholes, like Centralia?
No.
Or, okay.
Not fiery sinkholes.
Okay,
like
good.
Watery sinkholes. Because the water runs over top of it and causes it to, like, degrade and then it just sinks in.
That is insane.
And that has nothing to do with the story. That is something that I learned when I was working at a state park. Anyway.
We learn something new every day.
Yes. So directly beneath the limestone on this property is a natural spring. Water that flows underground. And now that I'm remembering from learning from the state park that it washes away really easy, I'm kind of nervous that there's going to be a big sinkhole there when I'm there, and that's even scarier to me than ghosts. But anyway...
Like, I can fight a ghost. I can't fight a sinkhole.
Yeah. So the reason it was supposed to be scary is because, according to Grant Wilson and Jason Hawes of the Atlantic Paranormal Society, and also the TV show Ghost Hunters, they said, quote, "One thing we found is that you find more paranormal activity around flowing streams of water, railroad tracks, and places with high limestone deposits. This place has 2 of the 3.
Okay, that's not good.
The thought is that paranormal activity needs to draw energy from something to be able to put energy into our world for us to see, hear, feel, or smell. Mm-hmm. Limestone apparently has the ability to both absorb and release electromagnetic psychic energies. And then the flowing movement of the water beneath it is kinetic energy, so it's always there to kind of charge up the limestone and the spirits. So, like, this place is supercharged below the ground. On top of all of that, there were terrible things that happened on the property before the hospital was even built.
Oh.
It was first home to the Chiaha Native American tribe.
Nailed it.
Then the Battle of Shiloh happened during the early part of the Civil War in 1862. It was, at the time, the bloodiest battle that had ever happened within this war, and it had double the number of deaths of all the other battles combined, like, up until this point. Both Civil War soldiers and Native Americans were killed at the location during the Battle of Shiloh. And then a year later, in 1863, the Battle of Chickamauga became the second deadliest battle in America, with over 16,000 Union casualties and 18,000 Confederate casualties. This battle wasn't fought specifically on the location where the hospital sits, but it was fought along the Chickamauga River. And this river is also called the River of Death because of the bodies from the battle were just dumped into the river, and the river was filled with blood and death, and that river flows directly into the spring that is directly beneath the hospital. So, in other words,
a recipe for a very sound situation.
A literal river of blood has flown directly beneath the hospital's location.
No, thank you. I will seek medical attention elsewhere.
Right. It's a little gross. Years later, in the 1920s, the location where the hospital now sits was a plantation. But there was a fire there that burned down the entire property and also took the lives of 7 children in the process. So, like, this is a really bad mix of things on this small piece of earth. There's so much negative energy already there. And then they built a hospital. So, like, good idea.
Yikes.
In 1959... with good intentions, 4 doctors opened up a not-for-profit hospital called South Pittsburg Municipal Hospital that was the first hospital in the area. Before then, people had to travel pretty far to get to a hospital, and they just wanted to help out the locals. Let's put a hospital right here in the middle of everybody. It was a 68,000 square foot building with 3 floors and a basement. The basement contains an apartment, cafeteria, the boiler room. The main floor consists of emergency room entrance, nurses' stations, chapel, and then the top floors house 3 operating rooms and patient care rooms. The hospital is huge, so obviously there's other things in there like a records building and the pharmacy and all those things. So, the growing population in the area quickly caused the hospital to become overcrowded and understaffed. Multiple additional buildings were built on the property to help fill the growing need for patient care, but it was never enough. The hospital was in operation from 1959 until 1998, when a new, bigger, more well-staffed hospital was built in nearby Jasper, Tennessee. While it was still up and running, there were obviously many deaths that took place in the building. It was a hospital after all. But because of the overcrowding and understaffing, there are rumors that there were also deaths due to child abuse, malpractice, wrongful death, and just not being able to care for so many patients. There are also stories of specific people who are now spirits at this hospital. An angry doctor, once employed at this hospital, was said to have done unnecessary procedures and examinations on patients during his time there. Another doctor once had a heart attack in the elevator, having died while traveling from the bottom floor to the top floor.
Jesus.
A little boy named Buddy died in a patient room on the 3rd floor while waiting to be treated in the hospital. He had multiple snake bites from picking up a group of baby copperheads
Why would you do that?
Thought were worms.
Oh, no.
And then another little boy died in the emergency room waiting area when, to keep him entertained while waiting with his mother, someone gave him a balloon that he accidentally swallowed and choked on while playing with it.
My God.
I know. At some point during the building's history, there was also a man named Jim who lived in the basement's apartment. I don't understand why, but this is what is reported.
He wasn't working there, or he wasn't like
he may have been
in
a
the
janitor,
medical field. Okay.
But he did not have any like strongholds on the hospital. He was just living there.
Okay. Sure.
He was also a hoarder.
Oh, awesome.
And an addict.
Oh, good. Always good in a hospital setting.
Mm-hmm. And he loved classical rock music.
Okay.
Apparently.
Fun fact.
Yeah.
Oh, do we hear classical rock music when he's there?
No, but another investigative team did play it to get him going, and it worked.
Ugh.
Yeah. Creepy. So apparently this guy, Jim, like I said, he had this feeling of responsibility for the hospital because he lived in it, but he actually didn't own any of it. Like, he was not in charge of anything. He just always felt like, this is my hospital. I have to take care of it.
Okay. So his spirit can't move on.
Yeah, well, also he did die in his apartment downstairs when he succumbed to drugs and alcohol. So he died there, but also he doesn't want to leave there because he's like, I need to take care of my hospital.
R.I.P. Jim.
Yeah. So in the later years of the hospital's operation, probably late 80s and into the 90s, even patients would experience paranormal activity during their, like, visit to go get a checkup or to the emergency room. Many people claimed to hear walking behind them or passing them in the halls when there was nobody there. They saw shadows of people in the halls that weren't there.
No, thank you.
And one woman gave an account of bringing her sick 4-month-old baby in to see a doctor.
No.
They were put into a patient room on the 3rd floor near the nursery, and they were waiting for, a doctor. They were waiting for hours because this place is understaffed. Eventually, a male doctor finally came in to look at the baby. The baby held the doctor's finger. The doctor rubbed the baby's back, spoke to the mom, and then he left. And a while later, another doctor comes in and apologizes for the wait.
Oh, no.
And the mom's like, oh, no, it's fine. Another doctor has already been in to see us. And the doctor's like, well, there are no other doctors working on this floor. It's just me. And so the mom describes the doctor that came in.
Oh, my God, was it Jim?
The doctor in there now informs her that she was describing the doctor who had died of a heart attack in the elevator long before.
Oh, my God.
So, he was on his way up to the 3rd floor and still came up and checked on them.
That's
so creepy.
nice and
My
creepy.
eyes are about to water.
Yeah, right? I would really prefer it if, yeah, right? Like, don't touch my baby. Like, if you're going to be a ghost doctor, like, please don't touch my baby.
I mean, it's still a doctor, though.
I know. Spirits can be kind and still want to do what they did in life,
So, when the hospital closed in 1998, it was just an abandoned building for a long time. Everyone suspected that it was haunted because of the paranormal stories from when it was still operating. So many teens and rebels went into the building without permission and vandalized the place just for fun.
Why?
Many people today think that they did more than just vandalize, though. There was a pentagram drawn on the floor in the basement that make many suspect there was some sort of satanic rituals that may have taken place there.
So Robin Gett and his friends just went for a journey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there are also some darker spirits that inhabit the place to back that theory up. So let's get into the hauntings. Your face.
Sorry.
This is why when you're like, remember I live in a haunted house? It's a little different.
I didn't, like, I had, like, the Pennywise situation, maybe, kind of, but I didn't have whatever you're describing.
Yeah, we'll get there. Okay, first we're going to start with the basement. Because of the apartment down there, people believe that the spirit that haunts the basement is Jim. I have looked into 4 different teams of paranormal investigators who went to this location, and only one of these groups was allowed into the basement. Usually the basement is locked up because of the apartment area. It hasn't been cleaned up much, and like I said earlier, Jim was a hoarder, so it's like a really big mess and disgusting down there. Usually, like on tours, you don't go into the basement.
Oh, I want to go in the basement.
The paranormal investigation team from the show Ghost Asylum was the group that was allowed into the basement, and while down there, the team was able to get intelligent responses from whatever entity there was with the flashlight trick. And the flashlight trick, for those that don't know, is when you take a flashlight that has like the screw top, like to screw on and screw off, and you screw it to the point where it like just turns off, like millimeters from turning back on, but not all the way turned on and not all the way turned off, just so the light dims out, and then the spirit or the entity or whatever is there can use energy to make the light shine brighter, or from your position turn on, so it looks like the light's coming back on. When speaking with whatever presence was in the basement, the flashlight went on and off during specific commands, like it actually understood what was being asked of it, and it was using the energy correctly. Usually, investigative teams ask multiple questions with the flashlight trick to ensure that it isn't just a coincidence with the flashlight. And in this case, it didn't seem like just a coincidence. Also, in the basement, something evil may have been with the paranormal investigation team. They used a device that's a lot like an ovulus. I don't know if that's what theirs was, but anyway, an ovulus is like a little box that has a dictionary worth of words in it. Think of like the Stephen Hawking's box, right? Like he types his little messages into it and it says it in like a robot voice. That's what an ovulus is, except you don't type, you just like think energy and it says the word that is being thought around you.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it is. So it's like a little box that has a dictionary worth of words in it, and a spirit uses the energy to choose words that they want to say out loud when they don't have enough energy to use their own words and have them heard. So anyway, while they were in the basement, one of the paranormal investigators felt a really tight tug at his necklace, and he was wearing a necklace that had a cross on the end of it. And then on the box, it said the word mad. And then they asked the spirit if it was mad that they were in the basement. And then he felt another tug on his necklace, and the box said soul healer, which Jesus is said to be a soul healer. So it was indicating that it was like mad at the representation of the Jesus or the cross.
Fuck no, I'm out.
Yeah. They also heard growling on the digital recording when calling out to Jim, and they were suspecting that whatever the evil spirit was trying to keep Jim from communicating with them. So, like, the bad spirit was controlling the good ones, like, don't talk or else kind of thing.
Poor Jim.
Yeah, super creepy. So now we move up.
Involving growling, for the record, forever, I am out. If I hear growling, I am leaving immediately.
Yeah, but you're in.
I'm in. I'm 100% in. But if I hear growling, I'm out.
So I'm super confused by the first and second floors based on all of the shows that I watched. So I'm just going to put the two together. For the, like, as far as the activity that happens. All of the investigative teams that I looked into went to these 2 floors.
How many paranormal shows did you watch for your research, Sierra? Because I know
4.
you have a paranormal show problem lately.
Yes, so I watched 4, including my new favorite, which I was just about to talk about, so let me tell you about my new favorite show. It is called Destination Fear. It's amazing. It's about a guy named Dakota who used to be one of Zach Bagans' cameramen, and then his sister Chelsea, his best friend Tanner, and his neighbor Alex. And they all go on these road trips to face their fears. They usually start the show with like a fun, fear-inducing activity, like going across a really tall bridge in the mountains, or like zip lining or something. And then they end by challenging themselves to sleep alone in haunted locations and recording all the activity that happens while they're there. So,
trying to see where I can stream it as you tell the listeners about
spooky.
it.
It's on Discovery Plus, for any of you that have Discovery Plus. Every time Destination Fear releases a new episode, the location seems to get scarier and scarier. Like, literally their first one, I was terrified, but compared to their third season, it's nothing. And this, the South Pittsburg Hospital, is season 1, episode 2. So it was only the second place they ever went. So, I mean, it was fucking scary. But compared to where they're going now, it was nothing. So, like, no big deal. So, in this episode of Destination Fear, they don't do much exploration on the first floor, from what I can tell. So, I assume they didn't expect anything creepy to happen there. But while they were down there, like, just talking to each other, a sign fell off of the wall right in front of the camera. Like, you watch it, like, they're just all talking, and then suddenly you see a sign fall. So, that was creepy. And then later on, Alex is the one who has to sleep on the first floor by himself. And the camera he uses picks up really loud noises in the building on that floor with him. So, there's something on the first floor.
No, thank you.
From all of the other shows, this area / the second floor, because again, I can't tell what exactly is on the first and the second floor because they don't go into first floor very much. But mostly these areas are inhabited by spirits of nurses who still walk back and forth to the nurses' station, completing their daily tasks. Some people also hear women, probably nurses, talking near the emergency room entrance, the emergency room entrance. And there's also shadows of people seen in the hallways and doors open or close on their own. A wheelchair that sits over by the emergency entrance sometimes moves on its own. And also if you sit in it, it'll be like someone is pushing you on their own.
Oh, goodbye.
One visitor actually did sit in it, and they said it started going. They were not pushing it. No one was pushing them. It started going, and they had to, like, jump off because they were terrified. It's probably nurses or doctors just, like, falling into old routines of, like, oh, let me get this patient to a room.
Yeah.
But super creepy.
I've started to absorb a you thing, by the way, where my eyes water, and I don't appreciate it.
It is so spooky.
I love you, but it happens. This one is watering right now.
Yeah. So 2 of the paranormal investigative teams that I got information from actually did a reenactment of a medical emergency near the entrance to get some reactions from the doctors and nurses, and it seemed to work in both cases. Ew. They would have someone lay down on a gurney while other members of the team, dressed in hospital garb, yelling things like, "We need the doctor," and "Get this patient to an operating room."
Oh, wow.
Both groups were able to hear disembodied voices in their digital recordings during and after their reenactments. So, like, whatever they were doing, the ghosts were like, oh, let me help. You know what I mean? Like, they were into it.
That's so
weird.
Wholesome.
The Destination Fear team also had a medical device that looked like a pen-shaped camera thing thrown onto the floor near them while they were on the second floor. And of course, loud noises could be heard on this floor as well while they slept. The owner of the building once brought her grandson into the building, and he played over by the emergency entrance. He was running around like all kids normally do, and eventually he came over to his grandmother and asked, "Where did he go?" She asked, "Who?" And he said,
so creepy?
"The little boy I was just playing with." The owner said she hopes her grandson was playing with the spirit of the boy who had choked on the balloon over by the emergency room area, but to be safe, she doesn't let him go inside the building anymore. And she actually doesn't let any kids inside the building. You now have to be 18 years or older to tour the building. Because she's scared.
Well, I think that that's sweet because kids are more perceptive than adults are.
Yeah.
It's not uncommon that kids see things that grown-ups don't, or pets see things that adults don't, or their owners don't.
Yeah.
So I don't blame her for that. She's probably worried about something sinister attaching onto these kids or traumatizing them in some way.
There's one more crazy thing on the second floor that people report, but different reports say that it also sometimes happens on the third floor. So I'm going to save that part for last. And we'll get to the third floor because this is where, like, everything fucking happens.
Shit.
So I'll go through the smaller stuff first. The third floor is where the nursery is. So many people hear babies screaming or crying. The elevator makes dinging noises like it's moving from floor to floor, even though the breaker box to the elevator is turned off and has been since they got the building. Sometimes you'll hear knocks on the doors or the walls. One knock, or even 2, or 4 is fine, but if you hear 3 knocks, that's supposedly a sign of a demon mocking the Holy Trinity, and sometimes 3 knocks are heard. In room 304, there's said to have been a patient there named Nellie. She was a long-term psychiatric patient who is said to have hated men. And also she hates her door being closed. So men who go into this room are messed with the most. And if you close her door, it could slam open seemingly on its own. Another room on the third floor was Buddy's room. Buddy is the one who played with worms that turned out to be snakes.
Poor Buddy.
He loves to play with toys with visitors. So there's actually 2 different paranormal devices used in his room often, and that is the Boo Bear and the music box. A Boo Bear is a teddy bear that has electromagnetic sensors on it. It talks and says things like, you can rub my tummy, or you can hold my hand. And then when a spirit gets close to it, the EMF reader will go off and tell you someone's coming up to me.
That's so spooky.
And then And then the music box is a motion sensor box that plays music when something sets off the motion sensor. Usually things that you can't see set off the motion sensor. The staff today also leaves out toys for Buddy or other spirits to interact with. There are balls that could be moved, a toy rocking horse that could move back and forth like a child's riding it. All kinds of weird toys that people see moving around. And another haunted room on the third floor belonged to a nurse that the owners affectionately call the naughty nurse. Unlike Nellie, this spirit of this nurse, perhaps, loves men. Men in this room report having someone whisper in their ear.
Gross.
Or even pinching their butts or rubbing their thighs.
Oh, no.
Naughty nurse.
Fucking something touches my thigh, I'm leaving too. I draw the line at thighs and demons.
Oh my gosh.
And growling and thighs. That's where my lines are.
Sometimes around the nursery, visitors hear kids calling for their daddy, or asking to be held, or asking the visitor to stay there, or even saying that they're scared.
Oh, I wouldn't be able to leave.
Even Buddy in his room asks for help sometimes. And when trying to speak out to the spirits in the halls of the third floor, some people hear kids whispering to them, "Be quiet." What makes the children so scared, you may ask? Well, that same creepy thing that the ghost asylum may have talked to in the basement could be haunting the entire building. Some people refer to this entity as a 7-foot-tall shadow man, and others refer to it simply as the creature.
Goodbye. I'm sorry, what? Yeah. No.
When it's not appearing as a 7-foot-tall shadow man, it appears as half man, half beast that seems to be dog-like. Sometimes its eyes are green and sometimes they are red. And now my eyes start to water.
My eyes are watering too. Like, Saberus? Like, no, it doesn't have 3 heads. Okay. No, I'm out.
It crosses the hall from one side to the other, sometimes even climbing up the ceiling to cross over. And it is said to mostly prey on women.
No, we're not going.
We're going. Some people hope that the 7-foot-tall shadow man is just Jim or even the angry doctor that performed experiments on patients, but there is a better chance that it is a dark entity. The owner allows overnight visits of the hospital.
Beef with women?
The owner allows overnight visits of the hospital now, and even though she prohibits the use of Ouija boards and rituals, she also says that she's not there with the visitors, babysitting them. So if someone did open some sort of portal in the hospital when they stayed, she wouldn't even know it.
Oh, why would you want to stay there overnight where people are allowed to be unsupervised? That sounds like a bad recipe.
There's actually a 7-foot-tall shadow man that haunts another hospital in a completely different state, and it's possible that with how many investigative teams go from haunted destination to haunted destination, that it has been following them and staying at other locations, or it's possible that demons just take on the same shapes from, wherever they are, however far away they are from each other.
They just take on 7-foot shadow men.
Well, even the 7-foot-tall shadow man figure doesn't really look like a man. The owner describes it more as looking like the shadow of a Bigfoot. In the chapel...
I was thinking like Slender Man, but yeah.
Yeah. In the chapel, a picture was taken when a dark presence was felt by others, and supposedly you can see a half-man, half-beast shadow figure standing in the corner. No, because I can't find it. It's only in that, in one of the videos that I watched, and, I couldn't get a still of it. Whenever I look at pictures of creepy things, I can never make them out anyway. Until someone circles it for me. There have also been reports of other visitors who have seen these weird shadow men and other full-bodied apparitions in photos. So, probably the scariest thing about this place is the interactions that people report having with these entities. They can hear growling.
Yep,
They've been pushed into walls.
That's rude.
They've had their hair pulled.
Also rude.
And scratches have appeared on their bodies.
No, thank you.
One visitor claims that she was attacked by the shadow man, and she was hurting so badly that she had to be rushed to the hospital, where she learned that she had internal bleeding and was in the hospital for 8 days recovering.
Oh my god, because of that? How do you have casual internal bleeding otherwise?
I mean, we don't know what her day was like the day before.
Yeah, but your body has to undergo some sort of impact, so unless she was, Hulk slammed from
yeah. Who knows?
A child's bunk bed, then that seems unlikely.
Yeah. Another time, 2 overnight guests got into a fight with each other, and one of them was so angry and so strong that he bashed the other's head into the nursery glass window. There's still a shattering of glass and a dent from where it happened. No one really knows if something possessed that person and made him angry, or if there was some other reason why all of this happened.
Well, I was going to say, isn't it fairly common for people to become more aggressive or angry or irritable around negative spirits?
I mean, yeah.
Look at every,
also,
family annihilator situation where some sort of spirit has been involved, like the Amityville horror case. He was an asshole right before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, makes sense. I'm just saying. Why else would you kill your buddy?
Yeah. Well, I don't think he died, thank God. But still, bashed his head in. Many people also called back to the owner of the building, complaining that whatever was in the hospital has attached itself to them and followed them home. They often ask for advice on how to send it back. And that's why we will have Sage in my car. Yeah. Not taking you home, Betty.
Yeah, right. Kevin will be pissed.
The owner of the building warns that you have to be very specific with the entities and be careful what you ask for. One visitor claimed that she said aloud to a ghost, "Show me how you died." And then she started having chest pains, had trouble breathing, her lips turned blue, and she had to be sent to the hospital where she was kept for observation for 72 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it
Heart
showed her
attack?
how it died.
Heart attack?
Yeah, heart problems, yeah.
That's so scary. Yeah, why would you... Okay, so like, because you've been talking about a lot of paranormal shows, Sierra and I have mentioned before on a few instances that we think that Zach Baggins is really offensive.
Super.
And like really disrespectful to spirits when he's in certain locations. So the Zach Baggins Museum, I'm surprised he has not been haunted and dragged there himself. However, we will always be respectful of victims and therefore spirits. So I think when we go, I think we'll be okay, was my point to all of that.
Right.
We will present a gift. Just bring in a dead bug. This is your sacrifice.
Today, yes. A bat. Here you go.
No, not a bat.
I didn't say dead. Live bat.
Because it's like a vampire, so it's one with the demons?
Yeah. They're friends.
Okay.
It's fine.
Demons and vampires are friends, guys. You heard it here first.
So today, the building is called the Old South Pittsburg Hospital and Paranormal Research Center. It is located at 1100 Holly Avenue and is open for tours. As I said before, you have to be 18 or older to enter, or have special permission granted from the owner if you're younger than 18. Overnight tours are approximately 10 hours long and cost about $600 for the whole group. Not each, whole group. Daytime tours are 4 hours, with 2 hours of detailed history and 2 hours of paranormal hunting. It costs $35 per person.
That's so cool. Mm-hmm. Worth every penny.
They also have paranormal equipment that you can rent for your tour, like digital recorders that are said to pick up noises that aren't heard by the naked ear, and EMF readers. The owners of the building bought it because it is a piece of history and because they know it can be used for paranormal research. Before they acquired it, the building was becoming run down and filled with mold and vandalism, and since purchasing it, they have been renovating it and trying to keep it in the state that it was when it first closed down. They use the money made from the tours for upkeep. But apparently, a lot of locals... I was
going to say not like renovating change, renovating preserve.
Right.
Okay.
Apparently, a lot of locals just wish that the place would be burned down so they don't have to live with the haunts and the demons in their neighborhood. Literally, one person said that on TV.
That sounds like Fort
Langley. I wish they would just burn it down.
That sounds like Fort Langley here with all the Native American burial grounds. They, like, houses, like, turn over like crazy there.
Yeah. So
I'll
this
take
is my
you
story.
there when you come there.
This is it.
That was an amazing
This is the Old
story.
South Pittsburg Hospital, and we're going to go for a daytime tour.
Yeah, no, fuck that. I'm not staying overnight.
Yeah, we're not staying overnight.
I'd
Fuck
stay
that
over.
shit.
Okay,
No.
So will you stay overnight with me in the fort in Fort Langley here? They have tents. There's a little boy that may or may not come looking for you to play.
Oh, there's tents?
Yeah.
So is there like a tenant?
Somebody that stays overnight there too? No.
Uh-huh. Oh.
You just rent them. It's like a cabin that you rent. It's like a cabin tent thing.
I don't know about that.
So if you've had any similar experiences, because we've got a Listener Stories Volume 2 coming out, and we would love to feature you on that. And Sierra, what day is it?
Today is August 24th. Today we celebrate that on this day in 1932, Amelia Earhart was the first woman to make a transcontinental non-stop flight.
Oh.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Because that one is a fucking spooky one. Mm-hmm. What perfect fun fact and release date for a haunted episode.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of conspiracies and haunted
paranormal and
theories around that. Yeah.
Oh, so many.
Right?
We'll have to cover that one day.
Definitely.
Maybe for the bonus.
Maybe. So as usual, guys, remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you like today's episode. And go leave those reviews, especially because you'll be entered into a merch draw. And you will have like 5 seconds to do that by the time this episode releases. So go do it now. And if you want to support the show further, you can check out our Patreon, where we have a shit ton of bonus content for you. Yes. Ready for your earballs and your eyeballs. So enjoy. And yeah, stay safe. Don't be rude to demons. And in the meantime, keep it twisted. Thank you for listening to Twisted and Uncorked Podcast. Remember, if you like the show, to go leave us a 5-star rating and review. We couldn't do it without you guys. Now stay tuned to hear about another cool podcast.
This is Wine, Dine, and Storytime. I'm Nydia.
I'm Dana. I'm Cindy, and we're your hosts.
Have you ruined a family gathering by asking what wine pairs well with eating a husband?
Are you the CEO of TMI? Have you ever been kicked under the table because you brought up your favorite dinner topic, atrocities throughout history? Then this podcast is perfect for you.
Each week, Dana and I share stories based on topics that include true crime, historical shenanigans, unexplained mysteries, and all things fascinating, while our amateur chef Cindy prepares themed dinners and pairs wines based on those topics.
Find us, the Wine, Dine, and Storytime podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, and give us a follow.